Good morning. Let's give it up for those musicians. Happy Palm Sunday, everyone. Take a breath with me. A deep and releasing breath. Remember these words. Today, we are the direct result of what we repeatedly thought about yesterday. Every life experience that we're going through today or growing through today resulted from a thought or a belief or an attitude from yesterday. Thus, it must follow that every tomorrow we will experience, every tomorrow we will grow into, is being planted, created, inspired right now by the thoughts that we're repetitively contemplating and thinking over and pondering in this moment. All of tomorrow is being created in our mind, in our heart, through our prayers and our beliefs today. The great poet Langston Hughes, he wrote, when a man starts out with nothing, when a man starts out with his hands, empty but clean, when a man builds a world, he starts first with himself and the faith that is in his heart. When a woman builds the world that she will live in, she starts first with her faith that is in her heart. So everything that we are in the process of creating with here and now, we start with ourselves and our faith. What can we observe this morning during our time together about faith? What can I share to transform the thoughts we're holding in our head today, creating our tomorrow when it comes to faith? Let me share with you that faith always creates a first-class vision. Our faith, by definition, is an expansion of consciousness. It's more than we're experiencing today. And then faith, that power that Langston Hughes wrote, is in our very heart. It builds the vision that we hold on to, that we think about, that we ponder, that we contemplate. It builds that vision step by step. Too often, though, we handle our faith. We use our faith. We demonstrate our faith as if we were shopping for some sort of airline ticket online. And now you know what I mean. Orbitz.com, Travelocity.com, Priceline.com. You know what I mean when we search for that lowest possible idea and book that trip. This creates tension. Each of us already has all the faith we need. Each of us already has that first-class ticket. Each of us already has unlimited frequent flyer miles to spend in the consciousness when it comes to faith. And I understand at times we don't see this, we don't feel this. At times, in situations, our emotions, they lead us to feeling misplaced. We deceive ourselves as to believe there's not enough faith. And we go out searching outside of ourselves for something that we have an unlimited quantity of within us. That we really, with our heart and our mind and our soul, we really want to put an intelligent understanding of faith behind the gifts of spirit that are in us. Yet time and time again, we look outside of ourselves. We go with lesser ideas. We settle for less than the great vision God, as we understand God, has placed in our heart. Perhaps there's a time in our life where we followed someone else's well-intentioned suggestion to settle for less. Maybe another time in our life, in the past, we chose to follow a popular trend of the time, even though it was not our calling, even though the calling on our heart was bigger and greater. Perhaps we let that limited human ego book the life we have today at some time in the past. If so, then our faith, just like Priceline, it booked the cheapest idea yesterday. And today, what happens? We find ourselves stuck. We find ourselves stuck in some insane, stress-filled layover. Stuck in a place somewhere between where we were and where we're headed. And we're trapped for 3, 4, 5 hours because we chose this cheapticket.com. I mean, has that ever happened to you? Think about the metaphor I'm sharing with us today. You have to travel, and you need to go to another city, and you book this flight. And you look there's hundreds of them. And you look, and you scan, and you scroll, and then there's this one that's really cheap. But you know what? There's a 3, 4, 5 hour layover, in some godforsaken city in the Midwest somewhere. And even though you're flying from Fort Lauderdale to New York, you have a layover in Phoenix to save 30 or 40 bucks. And you say, well, I'll settle. It'll be okay. And then what could have been a wonderful, relaxing 3-hour flight from Fort Lauderdale to New York, it turns into this 8-hour ordeal. And in every step, when they arrive, in Dallas or at Gate A, and you're told, oh, you're at Gate Z for your departing flight, the transfer, and you're running or dragging or figuring out, what was I thinking when I chose this trip? But I'll share with you, it was a reactive decision. It was a reaction in our past to a lesser idea. We bought into, at that very moment, that a lack idea, like we were saving something. Like through either guilt or through a low self-esteem or through a need, that money is limited in quantity. We saved ourselves $30 or $40 than choosing the direct flight. But the price we paid was this full-day ordeal. In the present, we make a lesser choice when we book the flight and we reap the effect months later when we have to take the trip.